Hi Flosstube, welcome to Snickerdoodle Stitch. My name is Kathleen and this is a channel about cross stitch. So if it's your first time here, welcome, and if you're returning, thanks again for coming back to visit with me. I got a lot of stitching done over the last 2 weeks and did get a chance to head down to Salty Yarns, which is a huge cross stitch shop in Berlin, Maryland. It's near Ocean City. My friend Lana and I went down and stayed overnight, so we went on Saturday and went back again on Sunday to Salty Yarns. But we were both pretty well behaved. I spent some money, bought some charts, bought a tiny bit of fabric, but really just things that were on my list, except for one fabric, which I am going to show because I thought it was just really pretty. And you will see when you see the patterns that I bought, I'm apparently not just a seasonal stitcher, I'm also a seasonal shopper. But I have lots of stitching to show and I'm going to dive right in. I'm going to try and keep this one short tonight. I've got a lot going on. My dad's been sick for the last week, so I spent the week, most of the week down with him. Luckily, I do work remotely, so I was able to work from there and not have to take a whole week off work. But it looks like I'm going to be probably heading back down early this week. My brother took over for the weekend and my sister-in-law is going to go down for Sunday and Monday night. So then I'll be back in the rotation to head down. So hopefully, I hope he's feeling better by then. They really have not figured out what is going on. He had a trip to the emergency room with what he thought was kidney stones, which he has had. He has a history of kidney stones and kidney infections, but they didn't find anything and thought he had passed the kidney stone, but then he spent the next day sick to his stomach. That stopped, but he's just really wiped out and tired and sleeping a lot, and he's 83, so that's a little worrisome. Although his mother, I do still have my paternal grandmother who will be 104 this year. Yeah, 104 in just a few months, so hopefully he got her good genes, but there's something going on with him right now. They're at the point where they really think it's a virus, and I told him, I'm not sure he appreciated it because I've heard him tell a couple people on the phone that I told him this, but he's not a spring chicken and it will take him longer to get over viruses than it did when he was younger. And we all know some viruses, you know, flus and things take a full week, really, even if you're young and healthy. He tested negative for the flu and coronavirus, but you know, if he picked up norovirus or something else, I'm not even sure it would show up in a test, but it could have had him sick enough for the day or two early in the week that it's just left him wiped out. But mostly I've been down there to just wait on him and listen to him moan. He's not the best patient. I need to ask his mother what he was like when he was sick as a kid, because as an adult, ooh boy. Yeah. And then dealing with his puppy. So he has a little dog who is not quite a year old, and she's very smart but very stubborn and has a ton of energy. So he's just not up to dealing with her right now. So anyway, that's been my week. I did manage to get some stitching done. I didn't get a lot done when I was at his house because well, I was busy taking care of things there, but even in the evening hanging out, the dog kept wanting to play, and I would be stitching and all of a sudden there'd be a little head poking up, or she was trying to bite the thread and it just wasn't working so well. Anyway, I'm home and stitching here for the weekend, and the things I'm going to show today, I am probably going to put away now for winter. So it's a lot of snowmen. And I'm ready to move on to spring and bunnies. Apparently bunnies is my current mood. So you'll see that when I show you what I bought shopping. I had shown last time the Teresa Kogut Styln Snowman. I bought this from Rebel Stitcher at Sweater Weather last fall at her retreat. I don't know if she still has openings or not. Yeah, I think she was opening it up to everybody on the 18th, maybe? It was sometime in the last 2 weeks. So it's a retreat in Philadelphia. She only has like 100 people there, which for me is the perfect size. You really get to know the people in the room with that size. Some of the larger retreats, which I am planning to do Stitch New England again, and that's close to 300 people. And 300 people, you really are only going to get to know the folks at your table, maybe a few other people if you just happen to be like, keep running into each other. But in general, the room is just too big. You don't get to really know a lot of people. But anyway, Styln Snowman. I have an FFO. This is stitched on 28 count Picture This Plus Relic. And I got it framed. So this was, I had shown, I had 2 frames picked out. I did go with this one. It's 5x6. It did cut off like 1 row of stitching from each side. So his shoulders could have been 2 rows wider. But I was fine with that. I had another frame that was 6x6, I think. But I liked him better filling the frame than having the white space on the side. So I'm really happy with him. Unfortunately now it's March and I'm kind of, I put away some more of my snowman. I haven't finished putting away the snowman, but I realize I need to and get my few Easter things that I have out, or Easter's going to be here and gone because it's early this year. But him I'm going to leave out for a bit just because he's newly finished. This next one, with the needle and thread all bundled up, it is this pattern. I started this at Galleria year before last, so about 1.5 years ago. It was intended to give as a Christmas gift to a friend of mine whose mother lives with her, and her mother likes cardinals. And my friend does do a lot of snowman decorating. This is stitched on 32 count needle and flax Steinbeck. Liking the fabric. It's a little wrinkly down here. I sort of ironed it, but last time you saw this, I had all of the white done and I had the red scarf done. So all of the little coal pieces and his orange nose and the hat and all of the leaves, that's what I have stitched on him. So he's got some more leaves and some flowers, and then there's a huge cardinal that sits on top of his hat. But I think I'm finished with the most tedious stitching, which was all of that white. He is stitched with grits, not, it's the called for floss. I know I talk a lot, I'll usually use silk for weights, but he is actually stitched with grits. So it gave him some variegation, but I'm happy with him so far. I did not love stitching all that white. And since we're talking bunnies, I will share, I also have Spring Fling, which is a similar pattern from With Thy Needle and Thread. Let me turn it so you can see her, except it's a bunny with flowers and things. I have it all kitted up. I've picked out the fabric and I've had the floss. But having stitched the snowman, I'm kind of dreading stitching all this white bunny. It is good retreat stitching because it's just a lot of back and forth. It's not going to get stitched this year. But I thought I would show it just because it is part of that same little head popping up. She has another one that's a black cat for Halloween. I don't know what that one's called, but it's With Thy Needle and Thread. But I thought I would show this one anyway. All right, this next thing, because I was still in the mood to stitch snow stuff and snowmen, but I was starting to get the bunny bug. So when I was flipping through my snowmen, I bought this at Sweater Weather as well. It's a Rebel Stitcher Designs called Snow Bunny Kisses. This is the pattern, and it is a nice marrying of the bunnies and snow. So perfect for this time of year, and especially years like this where Easter is early. And I made pretty good progress on it. It is still in a Q-snap. Let me find something to put behind it. So I'm stitching it on the Zweigart, what is this called? Antique blue. Petty Point, I think. And it's 32 count Lugana. I am gonna make a change. I started stitching the words. This is actually where I started, was in the middle. And I started stitching the words, but the white words are not going to show up on this busy, snowy looking fabric. So I'm gonna tear that out, but I decided to stitch everything else, and then I'll decide what color I wanna use for the words. I debated using the pink, but I don't want it to look pink and blue like a baby's room, so the words are likely gonna end up in the green like the pine trees. I kind of ground to a halt on it because I ran out of cocoa bean, which is the brown for the bunnies. It will take 2 skeins. I really tried stretching it out. Some of it I even stitched all one direction, all one back, instead of a stitch at a time. Since a stitch at a time uses more floss, but it still wasn't going to make it. So I did pick up another skein of that at Salty Yarns. This might get a little more stitching on it. This year, we'll see. I'm really, like I said, I'm ready to move on to bunnies, but this one does have bunnies, so it might get some more stitching. This next one is Rosewood Manor Winter Quakers. This is the pattern. It's a huge Quaker, and this I am stitching with the called for Picture This Plus Dwarf is the fabric, and the flosses are Valdani. Use all 3 strands off the spool, and last time you saw this I had this big motif and I had this big motif, and I had a few of the white stars around there, but really what I did was all of this smaller stuff along here, and then this diamond shaped motif over here, and some of these snowflakes so that I could jump over there. So that is a full page finished. It does have 9 pages, I think. Although 3 of the pages are really only like a third of the page. So making pretty good progress with this. I wish I had gotten a little bit more done this year, because at this rate, you know, it'll be a decade until I get it done. We'll see. This has a lot of floss changes, so it can be very tedious. I do have it set up in the floss keeper, so I've got a needle already threaded. You can see them poking in there. A needle already threaded with every color, because there are a lot of color changes in this. You're just constantly changing the color. That got a little tedious, so I actually bounced back and forth between this and the Snow Bunnies, because the Snow Bunnies was a lot of single color stitching, and I get a little bored with that. So I would do a little bit on that, a little bit on this, a little bit on that, a little bit on this, and it was a nice balance there to keep me from getting too bored with either one. I have one more project I worked on. This was a start. It's a Mirabilia called Giggles in the Snow. And it's these 2 little kids making snow angels. I am not stitching them as 2 separate pieces. I'm stitching them as one on white Lugana. So one will be kind of in a upper left corner, let's say, and the other one will be lower right. And it might be the other way around. I don't remember, but just a little bit offset on one large piece of fabric. And I'm not going to put the words snow angel on each one. So it'll just be the 2 little kids making the snow angels. And I started on her, and I started on the scarf and her jacket, and I got the scarf and the jacket finished. So she's moving right along. This is another one that I wish I had gotten a little further. Like, I would have loved to have finished her, so that I could do 1 kid this year, 1 kid next year, but I'm not sure this will get any more love now, because I am ready to move on to spring. I'm just in the spring kind of mood, but really happy with that. I will say, when I was stitching the jacket, I kept thinking it looked a hot mess, and I double checked that did I have the right flosses, and did my floss colors match? Because you know I have some older floss in stock in my stash. But the colors were right. And then when I did, there's very minimal back stitch on it. But when I got the back stitch in, then it really looked like the jacket. And the scarf was a lot of fun to stitch with all that. It's all that plaid and then those little fringes. So I had a good time with that. And that's just on white Lugana. I think 32 count Lugana. And I'm using 2 strands, which is giving it a really solid coverage. Nothing's showing through on that. So really happy with that. All right. That was all of my stitching. Those, what, 5 projects? Yeah, 5 projects I worked on in the last 2 weeks. So now I'll show a little bit of stash that I picked up at Salty Yarns. And we went to a thrift store and I bought this really ugly, look, it's like all wrinkled and everything. But what I bought it for, these flowers aren't glued. I want the frame. So it's very hard to find oval or round frames and they're generally expensive. And so I picked this up for $2 so that I can have the oval frame, and it may get spray painted a different color. But yeah, the satin thing here and the flowers, it's a bit much for me, but I didn't lose my mind. It's for the frame. All right, now to my shopping at Salty Yarns. This is the one fabric that I wanted to show. It's Lugana called Coral Reef, and I realized that she didn't write down the manufacturer, and I'm gonna have to look and see if I can find it, but it's this really pretty pink, which is a little on the coral side. It's got a touch of yellow in there that warms it up, but it's just a really nice warm pink, and the color was so different from anything I have in my stash in any count that I picked up the piece of this. Not sure what I'm going to do with it. I thought some spring stitching, but I have started pulling out my spring pieces that I want to work on this year, and I'm not sure any are going to go on this, but I did pick that up. If I can find I'm gonna Google the Coral Reef Lugana and see if I can figure out who makes it. Because I know her tag. I know it had a manufacturer tag on it. I mean dyer tag, but I don't remember who the dyer was. And she didn't write it on here, so I'm gonna have to search and try and find that. So I picked up a small handful of patterns and I'm going to share those. These first 2 are from Crocette Gogo, and this one is Snowman. Well, it's called the Little Snowman. And it is this little snowman with the snowballs. Now, Lana and I had some conversation. It says, if I can get it to focus, it says Snowman love snowballs, and I'm sure it's not intended to be read down that way. It's just intended to be different words, but that's going to drive me crazy. So I'm either going to have to change it to Snowmen love snowballs, or I'm going to have to move that love and put an S on it, because the English major in me, that's going to make me crazy. But he was cute, just a little snowman with a bunch of snowballs. This next one, I had seen on 123 Stitch, and I wanted this pattern, and I was going to order it from there. But then it was on the same table as this other snowman. Actually, he might have been on her Valentine's table, but it's called 2 Hearts, and it's snowman with hearts. I have literally no Valentine's or heart stitching done, because in February I'm usually still wanting to do Christmas or snowmen, and this one really marries all of it. It gets the snowmen and the hearts. It's kind of a sampler look. I just thought this was so cute. If I can get it to focus, there we go. Yeah, called Two Hearts. I really liked that one. And then I did pick up one Valentine-y looking piece. I haven't done any patterns from Erin Elizabeth Designs, but I really liked this little pink and red house. So there's the colors better. Although now it might be too small for you to see. Not necessarily Valentine's. I think just the red and the pink that are in it make me think that. But it's really just a little house in a round shape. And on 14 count, it finishes at 4x4. And I know I have some round things that I've bought for finishing that 4x4 is the perfect size. So I picked that up. That'll be a quick stitch. I might even tackle that this year. We'll see. This next one, now we get into the bunnies. I told you I'm seasonal shopper as well as stitcher. This one is Jardin Prive, and it's called Carrot Market. And the picture, the top is the full thing. And then this part here is just showing a close-up of the bunnies. But I love the little bunnies pushing the carrot to market. And that will be a very fast stitch. There's not a lot to those bunnies. It's kind of the idea of the bunnies. So I have already kitted some Easter and bunny stitching up, and this isn't kitted, so I'm not sure this will get stitched this year either, but really cute. A fast stitch. This next one I loved, and they did have these as samples there, although I saw the pattern first. It's called The Rabbit's Big Day, and it's from the Cricket collection, and it's these two little bunny ornaments, and then like you can see here, it actually gives you the back of the bunny that you can stitch as well and put that little cottontail on the bunny. So that's super cute. Those would be very fast little stitches. And these were one of the things that I thought, they've done it on orange. I was thinking I would do it on green, or I may even pull the floss and see what it looks like on that Coral Reef Lugana. The orange carrot part might really clash with the Lugana, so we'll see. I don't have orange in my stash. I could dye some, but I have a ton of green in my stash, so they're more likely to get stitched on green than they are on the peach color. But I thought that was cute. And then she has a ton of older patterns and designers that you just don't see around a lot anymore. And she, I swear, has the full line of Cricket collection. So I did indulge in a few other Cricket collection patterns. This one is called Busy Bunnies. So some more bunnies. But I love the bunny at the top with the little pram and the umbrella over the pram with the baby bunny in it. And then this little beekeeper bunny. Both of those really, I just thought were so cute. They're going to be a little bit more work for Niece. Well, no, they're not bad. To look and see how solid they are, but they'll be fairly quick stitches as well. So I picked that one up. And last Cricket collection, this is summer, which I know everybody's seen the winter, summer, fall, autumn. It doesn't say fall, it says autumn. Spring, but the summer one, I like the colors. Yeah, I'm gonna start with summer. I don't have any intention of stitching all of the seasons, but summer, I think I went this one, and I know where I would put that one if I finished it. And then the last two things I got were a couple little patterns for smalls exchanges, although I don't know how many smalls exchanges I'm going to have. Lana and I were talking about that. Stitch New Jersey, I'll have a smalls exchange, Stitching in the Wild, and Stitch New England. It looks like I probably am not going to Stitch North. I've kind of been on the fence about it, and now it looks like I'm gonna have to have some surgery later this spring, but I'm on the list to have it sooner if somebody cancels and an opening comes up. So it's just not great timing for me to plan to drive to Toronto. So I'm probably not going to Stitch North this year. I need to make up my mind in the next couple weeks because I think the refund deadline is like the 3rd week of this month. So yeah. But this is October House, the Itch to Stitch. It's definitely a small, but I think if I stitch this for a smalls exchange, I'm actually going to stitch it on that fabric that I've stitched like pillows, where you take a small, like a little pin cushion, and you stitch it on this fabric, which is a 20 count, but it really is closer to 16. But you do it 4/2, so that makes it 8 stitches per inch. So it takes a pin cushion pattern and makes it big. And my thought was to stitch this actually big and finish it in a tote bag, similar to how I have my Project Quarantine tote bag. Wouldn't technically be a small because it would be bigger than 5x5, but I know the real intent. There's a couple intents with that. One is just so that things are something that people could travel with, and 2, just so that, you know, one person isn't doing something with 50,000 stitches and the next person doing something with 200 stitches. So I know that's why most of them have like a 5x5 kind of size requirement, but I'm still thinking about that one. This one I wanted for a smalls exchange. This I went up to Strawberry Sampler for. That's an LNS. It's probably the closest one to me. Hodgepodge may be just as close or just in opposite directions. And she had this on her Facebook page, and so I went up to shop and pick it up, and then she was out of it. So Salty Yarns did have it. It's Primrose Cottage, Sip, Stitch, Repeat. And I want to do that for a smalls exchange, but not in the Christmas holiday colors. I'll pick some other colors to finish it in and use that for a smalls exchange. I really like that one. It goes with the Christmas trees and stitching please, which Lana, who is Silly Notion Stitcher on Flosstube, was doing some FFOing on that one on the ride down to Salty Yarns. She did it in different colors as well on like a teal fabric. It was really cool. And her finishing was really cool. So if I see that on her, when she gets that on her Flosstube, I'll let you know because you need to check it out. And that is actually everything that I have for today. I thought this was going to be a short one because my shopping was well managed. I didn't go too crazy this time. Last year, I went a lot crazier. So I had budgeted for more than what I actually spent. And I don't know that that happens very often, but we had a good time anyway. So yeah, now I'm on to stitching bunnies and some spring things. So that's what I will be sharing next time. I do plan on filming again in 2 weeks. Will be, I think, March 15th. I'm a day late to this week. It's Saturday. It's not Friday night like I would normally stitch, but I didn't get home from Dad's until yesterday evening. And then the week after I'll film 2 weeks from now. And then the weekend after that, I'm going to Needlework Extravaganza, which is a stitching weekend sponsored by Needlework by Jim, which is the old Needleworker's Delight, in northern New Jersey. So I'm excited to go there. My friend Lana is going there with me as well. So that'll be a good weekend of stitching, and hopefully I'll have a ton to show from that, but I'll have one more episode before then. So I hope everybody's winter, it doesn't really feel like winter, although I know some parts of the country we're getting slammed with snow, but most of us it's been warmer than normal. So I hope everybody's enjoying your winter, and that you're getting lots of stitching and other fun stuff done. And I will see you all again in 2 weeks. Have a good one. Bye.